Hi, this is Colleen with Pets with Colleen. We are so glad that you joined us for our bi-weekly podcast. Remember, our podcasts are posted bi-weekly on many social media and streaming platforms. So we encourage you to like and share and subscribe to our podcast so you can get dibs on any new release. Also, we encourage you to reach out to us if you would like to be on our podcast, either in person in our new studio in our new office in Lake Mary, or you can always do it via Zoom at the convenience of your home or your office at any time. So please reach out with any questions or concerns because this podcast is about you, our guests, and people that play and subscribe to it. So thank you again for joining us. Today on our new release podcast is going to be Mandi Gribbin. She is not only a real estate broker and owner of several different companies, she is also a mother of two great kids, and she is going to give us great details about her life, about experiences that she's been through in her profession that have brought her to where she is today and what services she offers. She's also going to give us some great tips about being in real estate, which is a hot topic right now with the crazy real estate market that we have going on. So I want to wish all of you a happy holidays. I want to thank you again for joining us. And please reach out with any questions or concerns. And again, be safe, be well, and happy holidays and happy new year. Welcome. This is Chats with Colleen. I'm Colleen, and today I have the pleasure of having Mandi with me. And Mandi, I'm so glad that you got to join me today and take time out of your day to help us. So I wanted to ask you about your business. What is the name of your business, and how did you choose the name?
So we are Emajin Realty, and we are spelling it a little different. It's Emajin. And so my two kids' names are Emma and Benjamin. So when we put them together and take little pieces, we can make Imagine.
Oh, that's so cute. I love how
Yeah.
I thought that's what it was for because of the spelling. And at first I didn't know
Yeah.
how to pronounce it, but then I'm like, I think it's our kids' names put together. So
And
that's
it's
really
funny,
unique.
you'll hear me call it Emajin just sometimes because that's how my Siri has to hear it. So I have
Oh,
to say it that way.
or
Otherwise, it
maybe
spells it the correct way.
maybe how people call it, or other people probably say it like that too.
Yep.
So you're in real estate, correct?
Yeah. I
How
am a
long have you
broker.
been in? You're a broker. How long have you been in the field?
I have been in the field for about 11 years now, but I grew up with both parents having a real estate license, and family members having real estate brokerages. So I've been into the home space for a long time, but personally, I've been in real estate for about 11 years.
Wow, that's good. And do you enjoy it?
I love
Obviously.
it. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. Like everything I do, the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep is just focused on real estate and the businesses.
Well, that's awesome. That's kind of how I am with insurance, but insurance isn't as fun. I'm just having panic attacks. All the claims that could possibly happen. So, in today's market, which I know everybody talks about the market, what is the biggest challenge that you face with your clientele?
So I mostly deal with investors. So I do dabble with retail, but not as much anymore. I'm mostly investor focused. So while real estate in the retail market is really a concern with interest rates and pricing, same with investors. Pricing is really your biggest problem right now because people are still thinking that the houses are worth what they were 2 years ago, and it's really come down, and you're seeing huge price cuts and reductions just because they're not being priced correctly to begin with. But it makes it even harder for an investor because when we come in and give you a number of what we could actually do with it, people get offended with those numbers, but because they're not really realistic on their condition or of the price of the property.
Oh, yeah, I could see that because everybody thinks their property's, top dollar
Taj
worth a
Mahal.
million. Yeah, the Taj
Yep.
Mahal is perfect. It's worth
Hmm.
millions. But
Yep.
they don't understand there's some variables that adjust it, I think.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I mean, people just lacking regular maintenance is a huge
Oh,
problem. Huge
yes.
problem. Because the deferred maintenance then passes on to bigger things. So your bigger things aren't getting taken care of because your little things aren't getting taken care of.
That's what we were just talking to the general contractor who does mold about. Like people put things off. But I remember
Mhm.
someone else told me like people will spend more on their like car than they and time cleaning it than they will on like their house.
100%.
Yeah,
And
they don't.
I think it's because they go into it thinking like, oh, I've got a house, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be easy. Like when you have a rental, everything's taken care of for you. But when you go into home ownership, you don't realize how much it's really going to cost you. Like that roof that was, okay 10 years ago might leak now. And that gets expensive if insurance won't cover it, which is a big problem too with insurance and roofs right now.
Yeah, it's a big problem because it's not always covered because they don't cover for, maintenance or age related issues.
Hmm.
So that's another problem. And then now they're starting to change like how they're covering it. So insurance isn't going to cover it unless like the lightning hits it or the hurricane comes.
Exactly.
And we don't want that. So I imagine with like the prices and the interest rates with, people that are buying properties to invest in, it's more challenging for them to actually like make money. And so sometimes don't you think, well, I know you would think that the money is going to be made like later, not like right now, because they all think they're going
Yeah.
to make $1 million. That's what I always see.
I've been saying this for a long time, and anyone that goes to YouTube University only and has no real world experience thinks that they can buy a property with no money down, no credit, no, that's not real. It's not real. You have to be skin in the game in the beginning because you're a rookie. Rookies make mistakes. That's how you learn. But no one's going to give you 100% financing in the beginning. Like it's just not going to happen. And if you have a 400 credit score, no one's going to loan you any type of money. You have to have a good credit score. You have to have good partners, things like that. Um, and that's my biggest qualm was like YouTube University teaching people no money down, you can get a property in a week. Like it's not realistic necessarily.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. And that's probably the biggest challenge that I see when I have like people coming to get insurance and I'm like, why are you buying another property? You're late on all your payments. So that goes to show me, they're late on all their insurance payments. That's like
Yeah.
$120. How are you managing this? It's like, that's not my place to tell them to slow down, but I'm saying in my head, if I was your mom, I would tell you don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and then you got to think about if you don't pay your insurance and it's required in your loan can get foreclosed on,
I
like
know.
because you don't have insurance. And people don't realize that. They do
No,
not,
they
they don't put one and one together. So don't screw up on your payments, guys,
It's a
really.
lot of responsibility owning a home and then owning multiples and having tenants. And you deal with property management too?
I do. I've been doing that most of my real estate career. Um, I started off in a great company that, was really my personal introduction into real estate. I kind of went in as the secretary years ago and was like learning so quickly and just like, oh, this is stuff I could do all the time. Every day is something new, every single day. So when we are running multiple properties, we get tons of problem solving experience because that's something that we excel at. And sometimes it's disappointing because, there's a lot of money involved with house ownership. And sometimes it's really sad for the tenants because they have personal things that happen. We all do, but you get to see the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny. You really do.
I bet, dealing with the public. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this, dealing with property management, have you ever been into a hoarding house or in any of your real estate? You
Oh, yeah.
have?
Oh, yeah. We had a guy so after my first two property management companies that I worked for, I started going into what I call the dumpster fires. and taking them from the red to the green, figuring out where they were screwing up so I could fix it, and then kind of move on to the next company. And so it was almost like consulting for a little bit on how to fix their stuff because I had learned so much from my original, bread and butter employer that was just, a small mom and pop, but he had 250 rentals. So we were very busy. And just finding all these different ones. I would go into them where they hadn't been inspected in years. So we walked into one guy's house and there was things to the ceiling. And we were like, well, he's late on rent. He's not taking care of the property. We got to get him out. He caused $15,000 of damage just to get all that stuff out when we had to flip the property. And it he left in a weird way. He left all the stuff in the house when he was evicted. So we had to hire someone to come in and just do all the dumpster stuff and all the removal. But I think the worst house that I had to deal with was it was an emotional issue as well because it was during COVID. So everybody's hurting. Unfortunately, this family had some issues within the home. Dad was laid off, mom was laid off, two kids, dog, and they're really late. And I'm offering for them all these different programs, but I think there was just a lot of issues. And so they never applied. And then I get a call one day that a husband has committed suicide in the house.
Oh,
And we have to go and deal with that. Um, the dog ran out at the same time. Like they never found the dog. The woman eventually had to move out. I wouldn't want to stay if I was her, but she did have to move out because she was going to be evicted for non-payment, which really sucks because no one wants to do that. So she gave up the home. And when I went in, it was full of every belonging they had. They left everything, every bed, they left a car. And they were just like, we don't want it anymore. We're done.
wow.
Yep.
That's so sad.
It
Stuff like
was
that.
awful.
Oh my God. They felt hopeless,
They
apparently.
did.
I mean, during COVID, I know a lot of people probably did, but that's really sad. They even left their
Yeah.
car. They just didn't
Yeah.
want any of it. Wow.
No.
Mm.
And that was one of the hard ones because we had to go in and it had been not necessarily a hoarder house, but not the cleanest, most organized either. So the owners lived in Kentucky and they came back to just remodel the whole house. So I have to manage flips in the middle of property management too. And they ended up doing a really great job in the house and being able to re-rent it again for like $800 more a month. So um, it was sad because they had missed out on so much of the rent from the prior tenant, but they were able to turn it around and make it worth their while to, make those changes, update the home, and take care of the maintenance of it.
So it worked out well in that sense of it.
In that sense, it's like a double-edged sword. Like it's really sad, and then it's not as sad, but after COVID, I did take like a 2-year break for property management. The emotional issues that came with it, like because I never stopped. I never got that, I was never laid off, thank God. But I was dealing with a lot of emotional people, owners, tenants, like not just one side, because owners weren't able to get paid, tenants weren't paying. We only ended up with 2 evictions throughout COVID though. So I am proud of that because we were able to get people help. We were able to refer them to different places that were offering help, rental assistance, things like that. And some of them we were just able to work out payment plans to, make it work for them. And that was great. But then there was a house I was left with a pig, like a straight up 355-pound pig that nobody knew about. And his name was Peanut, and he was just left in the backyard. And
Oh,
I was like, oh my gosh. So I spent 3 days finding a sanctuary for him to go to. And he went with this lady. And she actually sent me a picture of him like last year, I think it was, of him and his girlfriend that live at the sanctuary, which is another rescue pig. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then the fact that she would text me like 2 years after it happened was like, I can't believe she still had my number.
And she still remembered. Oh my God, they left
Yeah,
Peanut in the backyard. Poor
they
thing.
did.
Oh my God.
Hmm.
I would have been panicking. I like pigs.
Oh,
I always wanted one as a kid. I would have took the thing home.
he was scary looking. Like,
I think they're
I don't
scary though.
know.
They can be very destructive, I've heard. Like,
And he
yeah.
had huge tusks and like he
Oh,
hadn't been like taken care of very well. So he was
poor
like
thing.
bristly and he had just trash all over the backyard. That was his playpen. So there was just like detergent bottles and stuff
Oh,
for him that he was playing with. And I was like, that's weird.
that's not the kind of pig I wanted, a little pink one.
Right. This one was not pink either.
So, how do you balance being a mom and your career at the same time?
It's definitely hard. I am a mom of two teenagers and um my daughter is 16. She is a junior. Yeah, she's a junior. And she's doing virtual school and
Oh,
she loves it. So she's able to go with me on appointments. And she's like my little sidekick. I call her my broke little best friend, but she's the one that costs the most money. She wants
oh yeah,
Starbucks every day, you know what I
of
mean?
course.
So I said, when you get Starbucks money, we'll go to Starbucks every day. But she'll go to appointments. She goes to our Orlando Sub 2 crew meetup. She's out on appointments and learning real estate because I said to her, I was like, listen, even if you don't want to do real estate in life, you're at that age where you're trying to figure out what you want to do. I said, learn real estate because you're going to need it your entire life. You want to buy a house when you're older? You should know what real estate is. You want to invest in real estate? Great. But you got to learn the ropes before you can just be like, I'm going to waste my money or not know what you're doing at all.
I think that's great that she goes with you. I
Yeah.
love that you ride in the car and
Oh,
that
yeah.
she went.
It's funny because my son, he's like, I don't want to go to do these things. He likes video games and hanging out in his room because he's a teenage boy. And I'm like, okay, but eventually you're going to have to learn.
Eventually, he's going to have to get in the car and go with you and learn it because,
Yep.
when he gets to buy a house, he's going to, well, I'm sure he'll know what he's doing because you're his mother.
Well, yeah, but still, I want them to know so that I'm not telling them, but they understand the process.
And learning it hands on, that's like great because they're going to hear you with all like the discussions and all like the challenges that you probably deal with throughout your day.
Yep, absolutely. And I try and teach them along the way, like, okay, that's why this is happening because this happened, and this is what we do to fix it.
Right. And most of the times, like we can fix stuff with communication, but people sometimes fail to listen and understand and be nice. So this leads me to the next question. So I know we've talked about this like briefly via email. So I know being like a female in our positions, owning companies, dealing with people in situations that are maybe costly, cause money, important to them or not, or just in general.
Hmm.
Sometimes we have to deal with, people who may not understand and there's a disagreement and they may be rude. And
Hmm.
a lot of times, I feel it for me, where it's like a male who talks down to a female. And I
Yeah.
always say in my head, if I was a guy, would that person talk that way to me? It probably
Hmm.
would have been communicated different. Like I would have been called stupid and an emotional this or that.
Yes. I I have had money taken from me and told that I was being too emotional. And I was like, you don't have the documentation to prove that this money can be taken. It was like a commission. The mail agent thought that he should get a referral without having the paperwork. So, because we worked in the same office and I was the only female in the office of all men, I was told I was hysterical. I needed to calm down. Like I needed to learn my place. And I was like, excuse me? Like, I think that's really something that motivated me. That actual conversation motivated me to open my own brokerage because I was like, I'm not dealing with these pig-headed people, like I can't do it. And even just recently, like I told you, someone who I had worked for before, I had done work with, like we closed transaction together, like we did multiple files together, didn't like something that I had said, and he referred to me as some bitch off the street. And anyone who knows me knows I know what I'm doing. Like, if I don't know, I'll tell you. But if I know what I'm doing, I'm not just some bitch off the street. I am the expert in that field. When you tell me you need help with structuring, I got you because I am an expert at structuring. You know what I mean? I'm an expert at real estate. I am not just a realtor, I am a broker, which means I am higher up. I'm not just some realtor that just got her license. You know, I own 4 businesses. I am not here to deal with people's attitudes. You know, if you have a problem and you want to talk about it like an adult, I am all ears. But the moment that they start with that rhetoric of like mansplaining, I call it, they start the attitude of, well, if you would stop being emotional, you're overreacting. Someone told me I was aggressive one time. And I was like, okay, if a man was aggressive, that would be looked at like a great thing. He's a go-getter. He can go do what he wants. But if a woman does it, it's like it makes you sound like we're a caged animal, like attacking someone. And you're like, I can be aggressive and not be offensive. I'm on my HOA board. I was told I had a list of items of things that were not being followed up on. I made a email to the board, who I am the only female on once again.
Oh no.
And I was, and it was like, we need to follow up on this. One of them being the playground. Like the playground is in not good shape right now. We need to get it fixed. We have the reserves, we have everything, but no one's taking the action to go do it. And I'm not the president yet. But I'm like, this is a hazard because if insurance comes around and they see that that bench is rotting, like we'll get canceled. Like you guys don't understand how strict it is right now. So as I gave them this list of things we needed to be looking at, we have someone in foreclosure in our neighborhood, and no one else knew except for me because I was researching it, I was watching it, and I kept bringing it up to them. And finally, they were like, "Why are you being so disrespectful, blah, blah, blah." And I said, I did not curse at you. I did not call you names. I did not blame anybody. I asked for follow up and asked why we weren't getting follow up. But because I did that, I was labeled the Karen of it, you know, that I was being annoying and obnoxious. And I don't understand that. If someone is not doing their job and you call them out, how is that annoying or obnoxious? I mean, I didn't specifically say anybody. I just said, hey, as a board, we need to do these things. But, you know, people will misconstrue everything you say or nothing at all.
Yeah, it's right. And you're right about the insurance with the, playground because somebody could get hurt there and then they could sue the
Hmm.
HOA, and that's a big
Yep.
problem. And then somebody calling you, excuse my language, a bitch off the street. I mean, who even says those choice words? I don't even know. It's
In a
just
business conversation,
in a business
nonetheless,
conversation. It just shows like, I don't know, his lack of
arrogance.
regards. Like, I don't understand. Bitch off the street. I mean, what is that? Wow.
I keep playing it in my head, though. I'm like, it doesn't deserve the spot to be there, but I'm just like, how did you get here? Because when we were working together, I was the best thing since sliced bread because I saved your transaction and now we're here. Okay.
Some people just don't want to take any responsibility or do anything, And so sometimes that's what
Agreed.
it is. Then it has to be somebody else's fault. It can't just be like what it is. And
Hmm.
That's what I deal with a lot. And I replay like you a lot of stuff in my head. I'm like, oh my God, why am I doing this to myself?
Right?
That
Torturing
person's not doing
ourselves.
this to me. He doesn't care what he said to me, but I've been called that emotional mess. I've been called lazy. And I'm like, wow, lazy. You're somebody that doesn't even send me any business, and I'm graciously sending you business, and you haven't given me a dime, and I'm lazy and I'm here working on my phone in the car,
Oh my
but
gosh.
people just love to make comments because it's like they messed up or they did something wrong, so they can't ever admit it. And
Hmm.
especially a lot of times, with men. So they just probably try to put it on you. And then anytime you bring it
Yeah.
up, like you said, you're just saying, can we do this? You're not trying to be annoying. We just need to do this. And they don't get it.
Yeah. Yep. And
That's something
and I'm
I don't
not
think.
like a man hater. Like I want to make sure we say that. Like
No.
we're not men hating, but as a woman in a male dominated business, like this is just the issues that we face. Like someone, my boyfriend, he was like, they would never do that or treat you differently. And then I was like, okay, watch. And so we had to deal with like a contractor. Um, and of course, the women on the job site are always the stupid ones. And I'm like, nope, this is not, we're not doing this. So we would just play good cop, bad cop because eventually they were going to hate us both because we were telling them what to do. We were telling them to do their jobs. Oh no. Like it was crazy. But women on a job site, a construction job site, they will always treat you different. I don't care what anybody says, they will always treat you different. Even if you speak the lingo and you know what you're talking about, you're still not smart enough to do what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're true.
Hmm.
So, in the industry of property management, do you deal with a lot of people, or your clients who require the tenants to get renters insurance
I
and try to
require it.
encourage? Oh, you require it?
I require it per our brokerage. We say, hey, if you want to rent a property with us, this is a stipulation in our contract that you must have at least $100,000 in coverage because I've I've had so many different issues with tenants that needed renters insurance and they didn't have it, or they had it and it saved them, or they have it and they never need it. So what I say to my tenants when they first, get into the lease with me, I say, listen, you have to have renters insurance. They'll say, why? Here's why. I'm going to give you a couple examples. If there's a hurricane and the roof blows off your house like a tuna can opening, which has happened,
Hmm.
everything inside that got ruined is not a responsibility of the homeowner. That's a
Right.
tenant responsibility. So your brand new TV got ruined from water. Guess what? That's tenant responsibility because you choose to bring your television in. So you need to protect your items. We had a property that the homeowner had just paid off, and he happened to be the broker and um, owner of the home. And he got a call. He had just gotten back from vacation. 3 a.m. gets a call. House is on fire.
Oh.
House is on fire from a car inside the garage. It was a brand new Corvette that was not even the tenant that caught fire because of an electrical issue with the Corvette. Caught the whole house on fire, ruined the whole house, melted the plumbing, melted the lines, total loss. So he was like, I just paid it off. Like literally just paid this mortgage off. And because he had insurance on it, the renter had renter's insurance, and the car owner had car insurance. It was all covered. Tenant was given money to move into a new place. His belongings were replaced. Excuse me. Um, the car owner, he came and said, "Can I come get the car?" And the owner was like, "There's two axles left and maybe a wheel." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize like it was gone. No, it's gone." So his car was replaced from car insurance, but the house was it was a total loss. So they wrote a check to the owner, and he sold the land. But because everyone had insurance, it was much easier. I had this last wonderful issue with insurance. Tenant says, I didn't read in my lease because we had just brought them on, like from a prior company. The property got bought and I took over management. So they were on a different lease than mine. And they said, you need to have renter's insurance on it. But they said, oh, we never even read the lease to see that we had to get renter's insurance. Number one, why are you signing something without reading it? But number two, insurance is important. So we're badgering them. We have to send them documents. We're posting notice on their door and they're getting charged. Finally, they get renter's insurance, but they don't set it up for that day. Okay, so that's the first problem because they're already like in the house, whatever. I'm at a birthday party and I get a call from the homeowner who's also a property manager. She says, I was just over there and they went under the house and they cut the sewer line. And I said, they did what? They cut the sewer line. I said, why are they touching anything? But number one, a brand new septic system had just been put in that week. This tenant decided that it wasn't draining correctly. So instead of calling us, he went under the house with a sawzall and whoop, zipped it. And that created $3,500 in damage. And their renter's insurance was not starting until 2 days from that incident. And so they had no coverage and they got charged with a $3,500 bill. And they were angry. They were so angry. And I said, listen, you're lucky we're not kicking you out. I have full legal grounds to kick you out for the amount of damage you just caused in this house. Number two, your renter's insurance would have covered this had you just done it when we asked you for the past 3 months. Like, we get hardball when we have to, but this is the reason. And now you have to pay for it. Sorry about you, but that's how
Wow.
it goes.
I mean, was he a plumber? Why would he cut the
No,
sewer line?
he was a
No.
landscaper. He was a
Okay.
landscaper. And he was like, I just figured we were like, then cut the drain line, not the line of supply. Hmm.
Wow. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think that takes a lot to think you're going to fix something like that. Wow.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty ballsy.
I know. So like, wow, they could have caused damage and said like I mean, they could have filed charges, I think. And then if
Yeah.
he had the renter's insurance, he would be liable. And then that's what liability covers. It's if you're liable for damages to
Hmm.
other people's property. So
Yep.
they don't see how important that is. But
Yep. Those are my examples of like, I've seen these things happen. And I've seen someone where, like I said, the roof lifted off like a tuna can during the hurricane, and they didn't have renter's insurance.
where was that house in the area?
Castleberry.
Oh, Castleberry. Okay, they probably had a tornado and wow. And they
Yep.
didn't have and they lost all their belongings. And I've had people call me with their tenants. Can you tell them that my insurance doesn't cover their stuff? Oh, okay. It's Saturday. There was a break-in, their stuff was stolen, there was a
Yep.
lightning strike. And the owner of the house isn't responsible for your stuff. It's just like anywhere else you live. There's, or anywhere you go with your purse. They say we're not
Hmm.
responsible for your belongings. Um, so I
Yep.
don't know why they don't understand that. It's
I
really
always
odd to
say
me.
the owner covers the four walls and the roof. That's it. They cover
Yep.
like the AC on the inside and things like that, but like not your stuff.
Right. They
The
don't
stuff
own it.
that's there when you get there, that's the owner's stuff. When you bring your stuff in, that's your stuff.
Hello. Wow. That's always shocking to me, but one day we'll figure out what's wrong with these people.
I don't think we will. I don't think we will.
No, I don't think so either. So you run your business with your mother.
I do.
How is that?
It's it's definitely a great thing. Um, I love working with my mom. She brings a lot to the table. She was in real estate for 30 years. She's got a great eye for design. So she heads up one of our kitchen designing and house design. segments in one of our companies. We actually own two together.
Oh,
So we own the real estate brokerage together, and then we also own an investment design company as well, which houses all of our TCs. And then we also have our um, cabinets and, like I said, the house design and staging on that in that
oh,
company.
wow.
So yeah, we are a great company. We work together. Um, we're able to play good cop, bad cop because we do have different opinions on things. It's not like, you know, we are always in agreement. So it's nice to have productive arguments with her, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of hash things out sometimes. But if you had asked me when I was a teenager if I'd ever work with my mother, I would have told you absolutely not. So now, fast forward, we're a lot more mature. We're adults, you know, things are great. And I appreciate her for everything she's done for me and the company. But when we go out on appointments, I won't call her mom. And I think I've had people get offended by it. And I'm like, listen, my business partner is Brenda. Brenda is my business partner. She's not my mom. Because if I go to a business meeting just alone and I still want to talk to her about it, I'm not going to be like, I have to go talk to my mom. Like, that's not professional. So I say, I have to talk to my partner. I have to talk to Brenda. We will get back to you. We go to different outings and people will be like, so how do you know each other? And I'm like, oh, that's my mom. So
It
they're like,
depends.
oh, that's so cool. But I always tell people if you're going into business with your parent, do not, under any circumstances, call them mom and dad while in business. You have to give them their first name because that's their identity. And when you say, I have to talk to my mom or I have to talk to my dad, it takes I don't want to say the legitimacy off of you, but it really makes it seem like you're not able to make decisions on your own, that you're still relying on someone else instead of making a business decision 50-50 with my business partner.
I totally understand that because I worked with my parents for years and I refer to them by their first names. And people are like,
Hmm.
why do you do that? And that's your mom and dad. I'm like, no, I'm at work. We're
Yep.
professionals. I'm going to go talk to Ken. I'm going to go talk to Charity. That's what I'm going to do because when you're like mom and dad, then they still would treat you like, your daughter,
A
like you're not
child. Yes,
capable. Yeah. And I don't want to be treated like that. And I don't want the
exactly.
public and other people to be like, oh, your dad, your mom. And I'm like, no, please don't say that. But I don't,
Exactly.
because sometimes like you it would like offend me. I was like, okay, I'm like, a 30 something year old lady. I mean, now I'm much older, but like, okay.
You don't look it, by the way. You look like you're my age.
Oh, well, I just turned 46. That's like,
No, you didn't. You're lying.
yes, I did.
You're
I did
lying.
like two
Well,
weeks
you look
ago, like a
amazing
month
for
ago,
it.
maybe. I know. And my son is so old, and I'm like, but I just stay out of the sun because, we're on the computer all day working. So no sun. Yeah, no sun. And I try to just drink a lot of water and pack on the makeup. But
I hear you.
I love that about your mom and you. And your mom is so spicy and she's so fun. So I would love,
She is.
yeah.
She's funny because she worked in corporate America for many years, and like she would work for the presidents and the CEOs, and like she was the main event planner for the Timberland boot company during the 90s when it was
Oh,
really
wow.
popular.
Super
Like she
popular.
was the head and she would travel all the time. So she got to meet a whole bunch of different people and plan these huge events, and like it has been able to transfer into like different events that she and I hold or different marketing ideas that we have because she has that corporate experience as well as the real estate experience. And now she's learning creative and wholesale from me. So it's nice because I'm still able to teach her things and she's still teaching me things.
That's good. I love that.
Hmm.
Keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Mm. What advice do you have for somebody new? And I know we talked about this like before in our conversation, but who a new person getting into this real estate game who thinks it's
Mhm.
easy and they're just going to make so much money. What is your best advice to give to them?
Don't quit your day job, number one. Don't quit your day job until you have at least 6 months to a year of living expenses in your bank account because commission sucks. I'm just going to tell you it sucks because you don't have the same number coming in every month. So you could have a great 3, 4 months and you're like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. And then you're a drought for 4 more. Like it happens, especially when people aren't doing their marketing. But I see a lot of people not marketing themselves enough. And that's kind of where you have that backfall because you don't fill your pipeline for consistency. You turn them, just turn them. So that doesn't give you a good base for knowing how much money you're going to make in a year. You could fall flat, you could be a millionaire, and it could be off of one deal, it could be off of 100 deals, and there's not a lot of consistency. So that's the biggest piece. But find a mentor. Find a mentor that will teach you how to open the doors and talk to your clients because in real estate school, I will tell you, I got my real estate license by taking a Groupon class. That sounds crazy, but I literally did, and it was great. But they teach you the laws, they teach you how to look at a contract, but they don't teach you how to be a real estate agent. They don't teach you how to talk to a client. They don't teach you how to open a lockbox that hasn't opened in 3 weeks and it's got spiders in it. They don't teach you that you might have to look for a window that's open because your lockbox isn't working. They don't teach you how to troubleshoot anything or how to negotiate or what to look for when you go in a house. Like we have so many problems with homes that have like the cloth wiring, copper lines, aluminum wiring, panels that have been recalled, plumbing that's been recalled, those kinds of things you have to be an expert in when you go into these different houses, not just the lead-based paint. Like lead-based paint is a big problem, but that's basically what's drilled into your head during real estate classes. But there's so much more. So find someone that has been doing it. Find someone that is actually producing, not just saying it. There's a lot of marketers out there that will show you the same clip 12 times to make you think that they are doing well. It's just different versions of the same thing. Okay. This is how we market ourselves. We take tons of different views and whatnot, and we make it work for our social media. That's what happens. But if you don't have a mentor or someone that you can be a sounding board with, you're going to struggle and it's going to hurt. If you need a lot of hand holding, that's when your big name brokerages, your Coldwell Bankers, your EXPs, your KWs, those companies have training systems, right? If you want to focus on retail, those companies have training systems for you to mentor. If you come in my company, I focus mostly on investments. So I'm going to teach you the view of investors. I'm not going to teach you the retail side necessarily because that's not what we focus on really. We've really changed over. So I offer a mentorship where I split deals 50-50. I tell them I do not provide leads because I'm going to teach you to get leads. Because what's the saying? You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So I'm going to give you the tools to learn, to grow, and to build, but I'm not going to baby you. When you're a realtor, you are your own business. Like my marketing is about me. It's not about the people I work with. It's not about the company that I work for. It's me with my license hung at Emajin Realty. It's what I can do personally, not what everybody else is doing. So you want to make sure that you come in with, I'm marketing myself. I'm marketing my business, my real estate business. And that's going to be really the best thing you can do is learn to market yourself.
That's great advice. You said it really well. like everything you said. And I don't even have to ask you. This is how good you are at marketing. I don't even have to ask you for your contact information. It's right here, which I love that. I love your screen. And so everybody can get in contact with you.
Hmm.
So I'm so glad you joined me today. And I do want to
I'm
have
thankful.
another in-person one when I move all my equipment to my office, because I want to talk to you
Yes,
about the other services that you offer um, to
absolutely.
clients and the public. And so I think that'll be great, because I didn't even know that you do designs and kitchens and cabinets. I didn't even know that you do that. So I'm like, I feel like we could have like 10 episodes with you and talk about all the information. So
Yeah,
thank you
I'm
so
like a
much.
wealth of information for you. Whenever you need, even if you guys aren't needing something specifically from me, but you need questions answered, like hit me up. I am happy to be a resource for you whenever you guys need, honestly.
Contacts. Yeah, I seem like you could know anybody that can do anything. So it's
I
amazing.
try.
So I'm really glad that you joined us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you
great
so
rest of your
much.
day. You're welcome.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening and joining us. If you haven't already, please share, subscribe, and like our episodes and our podcast. Also, leave a review. It will be so helpful to us, and we would so appreciate it. Also, if you want to join us at any time, we're open to any guests joining us in person and on Zoom. We post and record episodes bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. Um, Also, they're posted on our socials, which is Facebook, Secured Insurance Group, Instagram, Colleen Insurance Lady. This podcast was hosted by myself, Miss Colleen Pacheco, and recorded and produced and edited by Sean Spazzato. Our podcast cover art was designed and created by Norma Pacheco, and our intro and outro music is created by Lounge Bar by Geronic. Goodbye.